The poor student supported by my family actually claimed to be the younger brother of the best actress. It was on the very day when his sister won the Grand Slam of Best Actress Awards. He came with a large group of friends to the celebration banquet. Out of good intentions, I advised him to take his people to the side hall. After all, I was worried they might offend the important guests in the main hall. But he, right in front of the reporters, scolded me. His best actress sister had agreed to let me bring people. So who are you to control me? You like the side hall so much. Then you can stay there alone. Don't block the way here. His friends all quickly protected him behind them. They kept pushing and shoving me, their mouths full of mockery and ridicule. However, the reborn me merely smiled faintly. Then, calmly and unhurriedly, I pulled open the red cloth beside me. Gently, I stroked the giant python hidden beneath. With a calm expression, but exuding an undeniable aura of authority, I said, "Are you feeling brave now? How dare you speak to me like this? If you don't move, my little pet will be coming out soon." Watching the giant python hiss and flick its tongue, coiling around nearby, the people who had been pushing me instantly froze. The reporters too momentarily forgot to take pictures. The sound of camera shutters abruptly stopped. I took out my key and unlocked the cage. Still not moving, huh? Then it looks like little pet will have to help me clear the way. With that said, the giant python pushed open the iron cage door. Slithering out, screams erupted one after another. A group of people hastily retreated. The reporters were so frightened their hands were shaking. The microphone fell to the ground, making a harsh sound. Li Lian rushed over, grabbing my sleeve, shouting, "Ping Yu Chang, get it back! Do you want to ruin today's celebration?" Looking at the flustered expression on Li Lian's face, I smiled faintly. "It's not your celebration. Why are you in such a rush?" Li Lian's eyes were filled with impatience. "Yu Chang, what are you talking about? Even if you're jealous that I'm Yuan Yinghu's younger brother, you can't scare people with snakes. What if it hurts someone? It'll be Yuan Yinghu who gets into trouble." As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding scolding voices grew louder. The cameras were pointed at my face, and curious fans rushed up. I smiled faintly, walking forward with the little pet, forcing Li Lian and his group to retreat again and again. "You're her younger brother? Then how come you didn't know that today's invitation specifically mentioned there would be a giant python?" Earlier, Li Lian had claimed to be Yuan Yulin's younger brother. I had never refuted that. Now, with just one sentence, it made his face turn pale. "Peng Yucheng, you, a snake keeper, dare to speak like this?" I raised an eyebrow in surprise and shrugged. "Old Li, your son has already insulted me like this, and you're still pretending not to see it?" The driver, Old Li, who had been standing in the shadows, heard my words. His face darkened. He took a few steps forward, grabbing my wrist, pulling me to the side. "Are you out of your mind? How dare you speak to the young master like this? Get down there now!" The driver's strength was immense. He pulled me so roughly that I stumbled, but he didn't notice, continuing to drag me along. "Dad knows you're unwilling to just be a snake keeper, but you shouldn't go against the young master. If it weren't for the young master's kindness in taking us in, we wouldn't even have a place to stay." I sneered. I shook off his hand. "Then tell him I'm your son. Where's the proof?" Suddenly, my good friend Qiao Jingcheng stepped forward. He held a photo in his hand and spoke with righteous indignation. "Yu Cheng, I didn't expect you to give up your true father for vanity. You even deny your own dad? You want proof, right? This is the proof." Everyone's gaze fixed on the thin piece of photo paper. I didn't need to look to know. It was a photo of me and the driver celebrating my birthday in a small room. In my previous life, they had used this forged photo to solidify my identity as the driver's son. After that, I was trapped in endless online harassment. Every time I stepped outside, I would be cursed at and pointed at. I was even physically assaulted. Some people sent me parcels containing dead rats and razor blades. I fell into a deep depression. I locked myself in my room and didn't even dare to look at my phone. Every day, I would stare at the empty wall, crying in silence. When Xiao Jingcheng visited, he saw me in this state. He burst into hearty laughter, slapping my face. His tone filled with malice. He mocked, "Aren't you always so high and mighty, looking down on others? Can't even handle a little setback? You're nothing but a nobody. You deserve to be despised." I snapped back to reality amidst the mockery. A mere driver's son dared to impersonate a young master of the Yuan family? So fond of acting. Why not go to the entertainment industry instead? Come, I called to the reporters. Take more pictures of him. Let him enjoy his moment of fame. Help his career in the spotlight. Before I could even react, the reporters had already picked up their microphones and shoved them in my face. "Mr. Peng, is it because of your father's identity as a driver that you refuse to acknowledge him? Are you admitting that you covet a life of luxury by staying silent? Mr. Peng, did you deliberately cause a scene like this to gain attention from netizens?" The giant python, disturbed by the flash of cameras, raised its body, hissing, coldly staring at the reporters taking photos. I ignored them, smiling faintly. "Little pet, is this too much for you to resist? Laughing at me? You probably don't have the qualifications for that." At my command, the giant python released the collapsed driver and lunged at the crowd nearby. In the ensuing chaos, I grabbed Li Lian and pulled him in front of me. I raised my hand and slapped him. Then I kicked him down. "Feeling brave now? Dare to step on my head? You really think I'm an easy target? I won't even bother with you." This scene terrified everyone present, who scattered in panic, fleeing
Several
in
reporters
all directions.
tripped
Over the doorframe, falling in a comical heap. Soon, the people by the gate had nearly all scattered. The driver took a long time to recover, and finally managed to help Li Lian to his feet, his legs weak. "Have you lost your mind? Is scaring me with a snake not enough? Now you dare to act like this toward the young master?" I couldn't be bothered to listen to him finish. I slapped him across the face. "No one in this house is beyond my reach. Watch your mouth." Saying that, I beckoned the giant python with a flick of my hand. Under the driver's shocked gaze, I walked into the banquet hall. The event hadn't started yet, so the room was filled only with busy servants. Seeing the photos hanging on the wall, I sneered. To solidify Li Lian's identity as the young master of the Yuan family, the father and son duo had put in a lot of effort. Not only did they erase all traces of me, but they also displayed Li Lian's photos everywhere. I casually pulled a servant aside. "Get rid of everything that belongs to Li Lian, or else you can all leave with him." The servant glared at me viciously. A few others came over as well. Bullying young Master Li is one thing, but why are you disrupting the young lady's celebration? Everything here was approved by Mr. Yuan. Li Lian only wants to use Miss Yuan's influence to enter the entertainment industry. How does this affect you? Listening to their questions, I couldn't help but laugh. In my past life, I always thought these servants had it hard, and I didn't want to argue with them about many things. But look at what I had raised in grateful, fickle people. I patted the giant python's head. I looked at the servants in front of me. "If you don't move now, don't blame me for being rude." The giant python flicked its tongue, hissing loudly. "Peng Yucheng, is this how you take care of Lan? You still haven't brought that troublesome woman out." A familiar voice exploded in my ear, startling me. What had I forgotten? It turns out that this biased mother hadn't been dealt with yet. I walked over, braving the gloating eyes of the servants. Yuan Yitong was holding an ice pack, gently applying it to Li Lan's face. Her brows were furrowed, and she looked genuinely distressed over Li Lan's situation. Li Lan's hand tightly gripped Yuan Yitong's sleeve, her face covered in tears. I know the young master has always disliked me, Li Lan said, but he even went after my father. My father's health was never good. If something happens to him, I won't live either. She gasped for air, as if about to faint. The driver sympathetically held Li Lan's hand. Yuan, you saw it yourself. My Lan was just worried the young master's snake would scare someone. She just tried to comfort him, but ended up being humiliated like this. I think it would be better for Lan and me to leave the Yuan family early. As he spoke, the driver stood up to pack his things. Yuan Yitong shot me a glare. What are you still standing there for? Quickly apologized to Lan. If they leave, then you get out of the Yuan family too. I sneered. They're just students, supported by my family. How dare they publicly slander me? He said I was just someone who raised snakes. Shouldn't I teach him a lesson for that? Li Lan's tears fell onto Yuan Yitong's hand, making her hand tremble slightly. And Yuan, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have taken Brother Yu Chang's teasing about treating me like a younger brother seriously. After speaking, he forced himself to stand up. He shoved Yuan Yitong aside and tried to run out, seeing Li Lan's stubborn face. Yuan Yitong grabbed his wrist firmly. Don't listen to his nonsense. You are supported by the Yuan family. You are a child of the Yuan family. I sat quietly to the side, one hand stroking the giant python's head, the other holding my phone. I sent the just-recorded video to the other side. Look at this. Such a heartwarming mother-son bond. Hearing my voice, Yuan Yitong turned to look at me, then quickly walked over, and without hesitation slapped me across the face. You bully the weak. You don't belong in the Yuan family. If anything happens to old Li or Lan, you'd better pack up and leave. I covered my face, and as Yuan Yitong turned around, I kicked her hard. Her knees buckled, and she nearly fell to the ground. Seeing her preparing to strike again, I chuckled lightly. If you don't take him to reduce the swelling now, you'll miss the banquet. Apple fan, do you want him to show up in front of the guests with a swollen face? Yuan Yitong snorted coldly. Little treasure, wait till I come back. I ignored her and turned to look at the servants who were watching the scene unfold. Their faces were filled with shock. Clearly, they hadn't expected me to dare lay a hand on Yuan Yitong. Not one of them moved. Looks like you really don't want to stay in the Yuan family any longer. The leader sneered. The young master still has time to care about us? When Yuan Zong comes back, will the young master be kicked out? As soon as these words were spoken, the group of servants behind burst into laughter. I glanced at the giant python. The python hissed loudly and charged forward. The servants immediately scattered. One of them even shouted, "Wait! Miss Fang will be back soon. Then we'll make sure you and that beast get out of here." As expected, a few minutes later, a woman stormed over to me. "Peng Yucheng, are you out of your mind? Why are you bullying Lian? Why don't you lock this beast up?" Fang Ling, also known as my woman, raised her hand to slap me when she saw I wasn't reacting. I reached out and stopped her. The giant python, which had been chasing the others, paused. Then it crawled over. Fang Ling's face turned pale in fear. "Do you dare let this beast touch me? If it does, we're breaking up. I'll have someone skin it and serve it as a dish on the table." I leaned against the wall, watching her with interest. "All right, I'd love to see if you have the ability to turn it into snake soup." The python coiled around Fang Ling, gradually tightening its grip. Fang Ling hurriedly tried to run away. For a moment, the villa was full of noise and commotion. The snake's tail wrapped around one of the servants, and it threw him directly to the door. Yuan Yitong, who had just returned, was startled. She looked at the chaotic scene and shouted loudly, "Peng Yucheng, do you want to die or something?" As she spoke, Yuan Yitong charged toward me. I quickly ran into the nearest room, locked the door behind me once the giant python followed in. The door was pounded with loud bangs, stopping only after half a minute. Then came the sound of a key turning. Once I confirmed the door couldn't be opened from the outside, I breathed a sigh of relief. This was Li Leian's room. Looking at the delicate ornaments on the table and the expensive clothes carelessly tossed on the bed, I raised an eyebrow. The living expenses provided to Li Leian by the Yuan family weren't enough for him to buy these things. Aside from Yuan Yitong, I couldn't think of anyone else who would spend so much money on Li Leian. All the things Li Leian had taken from the Yuan family over the years, I would make sure he paid it all back with interest. The celebration banquet had already started. I changed into a new outfit and walked into the banquet hall at a leisurely pace. Li Leian had returned at some point, surrounded by the brothers, laughing and joking, looking very happy. One of them, upon seeing me, narrowed his pupils. He stepped forward and raised the champagne in his hand toward me. "A snake breeder like you must have had a hard time getting in here, right? Let me toast you." As he spoke, he suddenly splashed the liquid from the glass all over me. In an instant, I was drenched, completely disheveled. My apologies. Must have been my hand shaking. The man smiled, his eyes full of smugness. I raised my hand and slapped him across the face. "Sorry." My hand also shook. "You ruined my suit. Now compensate me at full price. Just round it off. 1 million. Now. Immediately. Transfer it." I opened my phone, showing the payment QR code, and shoved it in front of him. He stood frozen, his eyes wide with disbelief. Behind him, Li Leian seemed to have just noticed the situation. He slowly walked over and said solemnly, "Yu Cheng, no matter how difficult things are, you can't extort people." His good brothers pointed at me, laughing loudly. "Exactly. A snake breeder, and he can afford a $100,000 suit?" The confused guests also started looking over. Someone wondered aloud, how did this kind of person even get in here? Such bad luck. They're bringing down our status. A glimmer of smugness flashed in Li Leian's eyes, and then he looked at me with a pained expression. "Yu Cheng, isn't it a bit much to scam my friend over a fake suit? You've been targeting me, fine, but now you're even going after my friends?" I scoffed. "Who's really targeting whom here?" "Leian, it seems the people around you are just like you, experts at biting back." At these words, Li Leian's tears welled up in his eyes. "Yu Cheng, I know you want to escape the identity of being a driver's son, but you can't just twist the truth like this." "Also stole my brooch." He stormed forward, grabbing my brooch from my chest. I instinctively reached out to push him away, but in an instant, the brooch snapped into several pieces, falling onto the carpet. I stared blankly at the broken brooch on the ground, my heart twisting in pain. This brooch had been my father's favorite when he was alive. Every time I wore it, it felt like he was still by my side. Everyone in the family knew how much I treasured this brooch. I'd send it to the jewelry store every month for maintenance. If it weren't for my sister's celebration banquet, I wouldn't have worn it today. Someone shoved me aside. I snapped out of my daze. Fangling hurriedly supported Li Leian, who was about to fall backward. "Leian, are you all right?" He weakly shook his head, tears falling down his cheeks. "How pitiful." I pushed Fangling away with all my strength, wanting to pick up the shattered brooch, but someone's foot slammed heavily onto my hand. I looked up, and it was Xiao Jingcheng. He raised his hand and slapped me across the face. "Stealing Leian's things is bad enough, but you still dared to lay a hand on him? I didn't care about the hand that was being crushed. I reached out with my other hand to grab the brooch. Just as I was about to touch it, Lee Lane picked up the brooch. His eyes were filled with smugness as he looked at me. His voice soft. Want to apologize to my friend by kowtowing? I can give you that chance. How about it? I glared at him fiercely, just about to say something, when his brothers held me back. My knee hit the ground with a muffled thud. Then Fang Ling forcibly pressed my head down. I could feel the mocking, spectator-like gazes from around me. I bit my lower lip, struggling with all my might. The sound of camera shutters kept clicking. With the earlier footage, today's trending topic was secured. The excited voices of reporters filled my ears. My heart was filled with despair. After making all these changes, was I still unable to avoid the same fate as in my past life? With a loud bang, the doors to the banquet hall opened. A group of people walked in. The leader, dressed in an exquisite gown, had a grim expression. The surrounding mocking voices immediately vanished. The reporters turned their cameras toward the door. The next second, Lee Lane and the others were restrained by well-trained bodyguards. A hand helped me up, shielding me behind. A silver bell-like voice sounded in my ear. Make my brother kowtow and apologize. You all are not worthy. Everyone froze in shock at the sudden turn of events. I took a step forward. Snatching the brooch from Lee Lane's hand, I decisively slapped him across the face. Only then did Lee Lane snap out of it, looking at Yuan Yulin with an expression full of grievance. Sis, how could you ... Yuan Yulin glanced at the necklace in my hand, not even sparing him a single look. Scram! I only have one brother, and that is Yu Chung. Several reporters raised microphones toward Yuan Yulin. Miss Yuan, are you saying that this person is your real brother? Then why does everyone in the room believe that Master Li is the true young master of the Yuan family? Yuan Yulin raised an eyebrow and looked over. Her deep gaze made the reporter hesitate slightly. Are you implying that I can't even recognize my own brother? If they've mistaken him, what does that have to do with me? As she spoke, the suppressed sobs of Li Lian echoed in the background. Fang Ling finally broke free from the bodyguard's control, rushing forward, ready to strike. Yuan Yulin, how can you speak to Lian like that? Before she could finish, Fang Ling was kicked out forcefully. Yuan Yulin lowered her gaze at the fallen Fang Ling. As Yu Cheng's girlfriend, you don't help him, but side with an outsider and still dare to question me? What's this? Are you afraid I'll forget to deal with you? Throw them out. Annoying! As soon as the words fell, the bodyguards forcibly threw Li Lian and his group out. Li Lian struggled incessantly, shouting Yuan Yulin's name. Yuan Yulin seemed to not hear a thing. Her gaze lowered at me. Go upstairs and change your clothes. Give me the brooch. I'll find someone to see if it can be repaired. I nodded, walking towards the stairs. Suddenly, something crossed my mind. I turned around and flashed a mocking smile at the reporters. Sis, I don't want to see these reporters. Let's go outside together. Yuan Yulin agreed, and then signaled the bodyguards to take action. They're going to take action against us? Does Miss Yuan no longer want to stay in the entertainment industry? The reporters didn't hide their astonishment. Everyone was convinced that Yuan Yulin wouldn't actually kick them out, that it was just for show in front of me. I couldn't be bothered to listen anymore. I entered the room, and as I closed the door, I vaguely heard Yuan Yulin's voice. With all of you, you're not qualified to ruin my career in the industry. Also, I never invited you to the party. How did you even get in? Through the window. I exchanged a glance with the disheveled Li Lian. His eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred, which was unsurprising, since the mask had already been torn off. The next day, I saw Li Lian and his group in the living room. A servant brought them hot tea. Yesterday had been too chaotic, and I hadn't had a chance to deal with these servants. I sent Yuan Yulin a message. Soon enough, Yuan Yulin's agent, Miao Jiayu, arrived at the villa with a group of people. Miao Jiayu gathered the servants together and coldly spoke. "You're all fired." In an instant, the living room was silent, with only the sound of breathing. Why? What did we do wrong? Yeah, who are you to fire us? At that moment, Li Lian put down his teacup, looking confused. Jiayu, you're just Sister Yulin's agent. You don't have the right to interfere with our family's matters. Even if Sister Yulin wants to replace us, it still has to be approved by Aunt Yuan. I looked at the group and sneered. You're just the son of a driver. What gives you the right to manage Yuan family affairs? Wasn't yesterday embarrassing enough? Fang Ling suddenly stood up and angrily scolded. Peng Yucheng, what has Lian's background as the son of a driver got to do with you? Why do you always try to make trouble for him? You constantly use your family background to oppress others. I really misjudged you. I glanced at Fang Ling, took a sip of tea, and slowly replied, I forgot to mention yesterday. Let's break up. Fang Ling froze, clearly not expecting me to say those two words. Li Lian gently tugged at Fang Ling's sleeve, his voice soft. Fang, yeah, don't take it personally. Peng Yucheng is just saying that out of anger. You two broke up. What about the cooperation between the Yuan and Fang families? Fang Ling patted Li Lian's head and sneered. Cooperation? Peng Yucheng doesn't care, so why should I? Let's break up then. Stop acting like I'm begging him to stay. I just found it funny. Fang Ling forgot that it was her who begged me to be with her back then. As for the cooperation between the Yuan and Fang families, it's a win. Nothing changes. The family's interests are unaffected, but I'm not so sure about yours. Miao Jiayu's group quickly escorted the original servants out and brought in new ones. From now on, don't let these people in again. They're an eyesore. The servants nodded. Understood, young master. Finishing my tea, I slowly stood up, looking at Li Lian's unpleasant expression. What are you still doing here? Your father was kicked out, and you still haven't packed up to leave. Li Lian looked at Fang Ling with red-rimmed eyes, tears threatening to fall but holding back. It was truly heart-wrenching. Fang Ling snorted coldly. It's fine. You come stay at my place for now, as long as I'm here. No one will dare speak ill of you. After everyone left, Miao Jiayu finally spoke up, bringing the hair follicles she had collected. The report would take another 7 days to come out. That night, Yuan Fadong, who had been missing all day, returned. Seeing the unfamiliar servants, Yuan Yitong was stunned. Then she angrily glared at me as I ate dinner, without my consent. Who gave you the right to fire them? You and your sister's group. Don't even put me in your eyes, huh? Yuan Yurin, who had just come downstairs, glanced over. What are you to talk? You can't even protect your own son, and you dare call yourself a mother? Yuan Yitong instantly flew into a rage, grabbing a nearby vase and throwing it at Yuan Yurin. You dare come back? I'll kill you. Yuan Yurin took a step back. The exquisite vase shattered on the floor, turning into a pile of fragments. Yuan Yitong tried to step forward to hit and scold. Yuan Yurin sneered. Why wouldn't I come back? I just took back what was rightfully mine. Why are you so mad? Oh, I see why you're angry. Because the Shear's dad left for Yu Chang and me make up the majority. And now, you're just a nominal president with no real power. A mere employee in your own company. You should thank me. At least I didn't directly kick you out of the company. Yuan Yitong was so enraged that veins popped out on her forehead. Yuan Yitong couldn't catch her breath and directly rolled her eyes, fainting right on the spot. Yuan Yurin glanced at me, about to speak. Continue eating. I'll handle this. I nodded nonchalantly. Since Yuan Yurin said so, she would definitely take care of it. I was happy to relax. After having dinner with Miao Jiayu, we were stopped by a group of reporters. The flashlights blinded my eyes. The shutter clicks were non-stop. The reporters practically shoved their microphones into my face, and the camera was right in front of me. Master Peng, what do you think about the rumors that you climbed into Yuan Yuren's bed and had her stand up for you? Do you not feel guilty about whispering in her ear and getting her to drive away her own brother? Is it true that you dined with Yuan Yuren's agent? Are you trying to enter the entertainment industry? As the son of a driver, you went so far as to hide your identity and had Yuan Yuren fire all her servants? Don't you think that's too cruel? The bodyguards quickly arrived on the scene and escorted me out of the crowd. We had lost all interest in continuing to shop. I opened my phone to check what was really going on. Miao Jiayu received a phone call. Her expression grew more serious. She opened a video. It was a compilation of several interviews. The fired servants were crying, claiming that I, Peng, had been using my power in the Yuan family and harshly reprimanding them. They also feared that we would reveal his true identity and drove us out of the Yuan family. We're all old now and without a job. Life is becoming a problem. Li Lian, crying and gasping for breath, angrily spoke into the camera. Yu Cheng, as the son of a driver, relies on Sister Yuren's favor and has repeatedly targeted me. He even had Sister Yuren kick me and my friends out of the celebration party and then claimed he was the real Yuan family heir. I've endured so much before, but he just won't leave me alone. Now he's bullying my friends too. Xiao Jingcheng took out that forged photo again, shoving it in front of the camera. Yu Cheng wasn't like this at first. He was very close to the driver uncle. But since he got close to the film queen, he completely changed. Not only did he steal Lian's things and flaunt them in front of his friends, but he also repeatedly beat and scolded Lian. The final interview was with Yuan Yitong, who was in the hospital. My daughter, she's completely blinded by this man. Not only did he kick her own brother out, but he also threw me out of the company. He made me so angry that I ended up in the hospital, and not once has he come to see me. It's truly heartbreaking, seeing my dark expression. Miao Jiayu patted my hand and comforted me. Don't worry, I've already contacted the PR department. This will be resolved very quickly. As for Xiao Cheng, so far no brand has proposed canceling the contract, so it hasn't affected anything yet. I lowered my gaze at my phone, now a black screen. After a moment of silence, that photo. Have someone authenticate it. Be extra careful these days. I won't be leaving the house. Thinking of the events from the last life, my body shuddered slightly. I hadn't expected Li Lian to drag Yuan Yuren down with him so directly. As for Miao Jiayu's claim that there wouldn't be any consequences, I didn't believe it. How could there be no impact? We all have experience with this. Counter blackmail. Don't overthink it. Yuren mentioned before that she was planning to retire from the industry, return to Yuan Shai. I looked at Miao Jiayu, pressed my lips together. Retire? Doesn't she love acting? Yes, because of me. Miao Jiayu shook her head, prodding my forehead. Don't think too much about it. Why aren't you listening? You know her personality by now. Whether she acts or not is her decision. It's not something you or I can interfere with. She just doesn't want to see the company that Mr. Ying built with his own hands, destroyed by Yuan Yitong. The car finally stopped. There were already a lot of reporters blocking the villa entrance. Miao Jiayu shielded me, and we ignored everyone else. Just as I was about to enter, my wrist was grabbed. Then I was pulled around. Peng Yucheng, aren't you good at talking? How come you're too scared to say a word now? Xiao Jingcheng was grinning, his eyes filled with malice. I sighed. I had planned to handle things the way Miao Jiayu suggested. I stayed silent for now. If I spoke, the public backlash would only get worse. But since Xiao Jingcheng had dared to provoke me in person, I wasn't going to hold back any longer. Zi Bao! I hissed lightly. The giant snake resting inside the villa slithered out. Xiao Jingcheng took a step back. then stepped forward again, pointing at my nose. "You can only call for your snake." I raised my hand and slapped him. Amid the flashing lights, I smiled provocatively at the cameras. "If you all really want to know the truth, you can wait 2 more days. If you're too impatient, you can go find out for yourselves who the true founder of Yuan Shai is. I'm sure you'll get a satisfying answer." Qiao Jingcheng's expression changed instantly. He grabbed my collar. "What nonsense are you talking? Yuan Shai wasn't founded by Mr. Yuan? Who else could it be?" This time, I didn't need to lift a finger. The security guards pushed him away. I leisurely adjusted my collar, glanced at him, and returned to the villa. The reporters at the door clearly sensed something was off. They quickly shoved the microphone in Qiao Jingcheng's face. "Young Master Qiao, do you know something? Could it be that there's more to this story?" Because of what I said, this round of online backlash wasn't as severe as in my past life. Many netizens thought I was just pretending to stay calm, trying to create drama. But because I gave them a specific date, they were willing to wait 2 more days, eager to see the whole truth unfold. 2 days later, the 2 paternity test reports were released. After sending me the message, Miao Jiayu contacted the PR department to launch a counterattack. Yuan Yulin logged into a social media account that hadn't been active for a long time. She posted for photos of the reports along with a statement of retirement. The first report showed the paternity test results of Li Lin and Li the driver. The second report was the paternity test results of Li Lin and Yuan Yitong. The third report was photos of me and the driver celebrating birthdays together. And the fourth was a contract showing that the Yuan family had funded Li Lin. With these 4 reports, the outcome was already decided. Of course, many netizens thought these were fabricated. Some even dug up the founder of Yuan Shai, Peng Zhengying. No wonder Yuan Yulin's brother didn't have the Yuan surname. Turns out he took his father's last name. So how dared Li Lin to do this? I can't believe I trusted him before. Yuan Yulin said she was retiring because of this matter. How could Li Lin not just die? Mr. Yuan had been so pitiful. And yet his illegitimate child was this grown up. No wonder Yuan Yulin and young Master Peng didn't want to deal with him. But what about those servants? The servants were always innocent, right? I looked at these messages and chuckled softly. I uploaded a video to my social media. Maybe because the VIA surveillance had been neglected for years, Li Lin and the servants had forgotten its existence. So it turned out young Master Yuan was the one being mistreated. I told you, young Master Yuan doesn't seem like the type to bully servants, but you wouldn't listen. The door was suddenly pushed open. Yuan Yulin's hair was disheveled, and her clothes were wrinkled. "Sis ... What's wrong?" Yuan Yulin's voice was hoarse. After a second, she finally spoke with difficulty. "I found something. It's related to Dad's death." I froze in place. It took me a long time to regain my voice. "What? Wasn't Dad's death due to illness?" Yuan Yulin shook her head. She handed me some documents. When I was checking the accounts, I found that for more than 20 years, Yuan Yitong has been transferring money to an account. Following the trail, I found Dad's primary doctor, Miao Jiayu, is already collecting more evidence and plans to call the police. I nodded. Tears uncontrollably welled up in my eyes and fell onto the documents. If Dad's death is really related to Li Lin and the others, what was all that funding about? Does Li Lin truly have no heart? They must go to prison. Not one of them can escape. Yuan Yulin reached out her hand and gently wiped my tears away. "Don't worry, they won't get away with it." Miao Jiayu moved quickly, and the next day, the police took Li Lin and the others away. This matter undoubtedly caught the attention of the reporters, with our intention to leak the information. The whole story was soon posted online. At the VIA's entrance, Feng Ling and Qiao Jingcheng kept knocking on the door. I had just returned from the police station and saw them. I frowned. What are you doing here? Fangling gazed at me affectionately and gently held my hand. I know I was wrong. Can we get along well from now on? I pulled my hand back in disgust. I wiped it several times with a wet wipe. What? The collaboration is over? Until the importance of the Yuan family was realized. If you don't want your company to go bankrupt, don't come to bother me. When I spoke, Qiao Jingcheng kept staring at me. Yu Cheng, I rolled my eyes. I really couldn't be bothered to listen to what Qiao Jingcheng had to say. The security guard beside us tactfully dragged the two of them aside. Yu Cheng, I really like you. Not for the Fang family. Peng Yucheng. But because of you, I lost my job. Why should you be the one born? The voices of the two of them intertwined. They were separated by the villa's large gates. Li Lan's sentence was announced, but neither Yuan Yulin nor I were present. I stood before my father's tombstone, tears streaming down my face once more. I knelt in front of the tomb, saying so many things from our past life and things from this life. Dad, rest assured, I will live well from now on. After saying that, I staggered to my feet. Yuan Yulin, not far away, saw this and quickly reached out to support me. I had just seen the news. Yuan Yitong and the driver were both sentenced to life imprisonment. Li Lan, since he wasn't the main offender, only received 5 years. He nodded slightly. Looking at the sunset on the horizon, he sighed deeply. After 5 years, his life won't be easy either. Sis, the great revenge has been taken. You should be happy, right? Yuan Yulin laughed at my appearance. Who was it that just cried like a drowned cat? And still wanted to whisper to Dad? What are you planning to do next? Do you want to join the company and help me? Sure, I agreed without hesitation. The end.